What's up, YouTubers? This is the Thrift Raider, or Natalie. These are my September sales, and yes, I'm a little bit late on them. I am working days at my day job right now, and I tend to get a little less done when I work days because it's just long hours, and then when I get home, I am just dead tired. I can barely even eat before I go to sleep. Also, I'm sorry about maybe the sound. I have like a dozen pairs of headphones with a mic, and I can't find any of them today. I even saw one like yesterday or the day before, and for some reason, I just cannot find it. So, sorry if there's any static in the background. I've tried to eliminate all the noises as much as I can. Anyway, and just of note, really quick, I've had a couple complaints on my YouTube that say like I kind of go on too long about my items, and I just would like to address that. I mean, not a ton of complaints, just like two. And I would like to say that yes, I do tend to talk a little bit, probably more, maybe a little bit of rambling in there. But the reason I do that is because the whole reason I show these sales on YouTube is because I really love the stories of where they come from. Um, I am certainly not bragging about my sales. I don't do that much every month, and every time I have a sales video, it's like the entire month of sales. So certainly I'm no big time reseller or anything, but it's just the individual items that I think are cool, and each one does have a special story about where I found it, or how I researched it, or whatever. And that's really what I like showing to you. And sometimes there's bolos or whatever, but usually it's just, I don't know, I just like sharing with you all what I found and how I found it and what things like that will sell for. Anyway, yeah, and I had someone tell me that my items weren't that interesting. If you don't think so, I'm really sorry, but I do kind of think the items I have are interesting because it's just a mixture of all different kinds of things. It's not just clothes, it's not just uh retail arbitrage. It's just a mixture of everything, and I think, and I have a lot of vintage, so I think vintage is more interesting than just like brand new stuff. But anyway, I'm going to move on with the sales video, and I just wanted to address that really quickly. So, my first one of the month, oh, by the way, all eBay sales, no Etsy last month, which I was kind of disappointed by. Usually I get 1 to 2 Etsy sales a month, and just no one was buying last month. I mean, maybe it was my prices, I'm not sure. But I do price things a little higher on Etsy than I do on eBay for the same item, because Etsy people tend to not care as much. Um, Now, if you do see my Etsy and you want something, please let me know, and I will try to make a deal with you. I have lowered prices for people who were interested in an item, but for the most part, yeah, they are a little higher, so that may be why I'm not getting as many sales on there. Anyway, I've had this Indiana Jones and the Temple, well, basically a lot of Indiana Jones stuff, comic books, and originally there were coloring books and actual Indiana Jones books, and they were all vintage, and I've sold most of them. I do have a few left that I have been just dragging ass on putting on eBay because I kind of hate selling comics. I just worry that someone's going to, not like the condition or whatever. And but I've basically sold every single Indiana Jones thing I've put up. Especially the comics. The comics have not sat for very long at all. So those are just money. That's just money sitting around that I could be making. But anyway, this was only $6 plus the shipping, but it was only one comic, and for one comic, I think that's a pretty good price that I got for it. I didn't do it in the rest. I didn't lock this one up with the rest because it seemed to be worth a little bit more by itself. And it was just a one comic special, a Marvel Super Special number 30. And so, yeah, I just put that up. And I only took these 2 pictures. And that's it. I mean, it looked like it had been sealed for, like, ever. I don't remember if it was boarded. I feel like it was. Maybe I took it out for this picture. But anyway, yep. Next item. This is a really cute item that actually... Ooh, is the picture going to come up? That I got from Goodwill for only $3. And I saw this one and the grandpa, and at first I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, whatever. It was on like the new stuff that they bring out on the carts, and I was like, ooh, that looks interesting. But I didn't grab it at first. I was just like, they don't look like anything special. So I actually moved away, and I like went to the CD rack and I looked them up real quick, and they were going for like $100 or so, like between $80 and $100. And I was like, oh my god, let me get back there. I couldn't get back there soon enough. Practically elbowed a guy out of my way to get them. And this is the grandma, and unfortunately, I knew this at the time, but she wasn't working, and if you pressed her hand, she didn't do anything. But I thought that was just a battery problem. And so eventually, I was going to sell her just as is, like, hey, just replace your batteries and she should work. But because I thought I couldn't get to the battery compartment in the back. And so I actually did find the battery compartment in the back of her dress, and I pulled it out. I unscrewed it, and the batteries were still in there, and there was so much corrosion in there that it had rusted one of the terminals. And I think I have a picture of that here. Yeah, see that terminal right there? It was just destroyed. And you can buy little terminals like that, but I could not guarantee that if I bought those, you can buy them for cheap, but I couldn't guarantee that I would be able to replace it. Even if I did, would it work? It was just too much unknowns, and so I said, you know what, I'm just going to sell this one as used, not working. Maybe it'll still sell. I have no idea. So I just made up a price, $40, and it sold really quickly. It sold within days. So if you ever see these, I don't think they're terribly common or anything, but even without the box or whatever, they're worth, you know, if they work, like around $60. And the grandpa, I have him, he does work. And he sings Spanish songs, and it's really cute because if you are of Hispanic origin and you have kids, these would be perfect. They're so cute. But yeah, the grandpa does work, and I have him up for like over $100, and he just hasn't sold yet. I'm hoping he sells a little closer to Christmas time. Yeah, so $40 plus the shipping on Baby Abuelita doll. Another Indiana Jones, nothing real special here, just a different book. It took a while to sell, though. I think like over a year, and there are 2 different books. This is the one on the right, Temple of Doom, is a softback. One on the left is a hardback book, and they sold for $6.39 plus the shipping. So I have nothing into this really. I've already made my money back. I paid $20 for the whole lot of comics and whatever else that came out with it, and easily I made my money off the first purchase that someone made, so that's awesome. Just a few more pics of this and the insides. Yeah, just photos of the movie. Alright, next is Coal Chamber cassette tape. This was sealed, but it had a crack on the front. And at one point, I put everything in my store on a 20% off sale, and I just left it on for like the entire month. And it kind of happened by accident, but then I said, I'll let it ride and see what happens. So this finally sold after over a year of me having it for $8 plus the shipping. This band, they're a very 90s new metal band. I don't think they have the cult following that like other new metal bands, like if it was Slipknot or Korn, one of those bands, it would probably have sold a little sooner, but this band was just kind of forgotten about. Next item. This is a fun item because my sister is no waste, a no waste person. Like her and her husband tried to produce like no waste out of their household. And he used to work at Starbucks, and I guess they had these 2 aprons just sitting around, and he decided to wrap my Christmas present in them, which was kind of, a fun way of doing it. But I told him at the time, I said, I'm going to sell these. And this was last Christmas, and I had this one up with another apron, the other apron that I was given. And I sold that one several months back because someone, like in May, I think, someone wanted to buy just that one. And I was like, sure. So I separated it and sold it for $15 plus the shipping. And then this one, I just had my death pile. I just never put it back up. Finally, I was like, just get to it. And I put it up for 10 plus shipping. Sold within the week to someone in Canada. So yeah, if you have these Starbucks aprons, or if you can find them wherever, I don't really come across many, weirdly enough. I mean, it seems like there's tons of Starbucks employees, but I never see their aprons. And this did have tons of flaws. And so did the last one, and I just sold it really, really easily. Next item. This is just a band shirt that I found at Goodwill. I probably wouldn't pick it up again. It had major flaws like that hole and that stain. And it was also it was a medium size, not a great size, but weirdly enough, it sold within the month of me putting it up. It did, I think once it went on sale for like $8, someone just jumped on it really quickly and paid the shipping, and this went to Colorado. Never heard of this band. I'm not well versed in deathcore. I do know a lot of metal bands, but this is one that I know not much about. Here is the back though. Kind of interesting. The tag was torn, but I did make out medium there. Okay. This was a really good sale, but something happened to make it not so great. Okay, so I actually did a lot of historical research to find out what this was. And I figured when I was looking at them, I just took them aside when I was trying to sell all these 100-year-old photos. I said, you're not going to just take a picture. You're not just going to take pictures of some building just for fun. This building has to be something. And I found out that it was the Mays Frierston Fuston home, which I have up here, in Columbia, Tennessee. They are cabinet photos because they're mounted on this black, like, cardboard. And they're not great photos. I wish they would have been, like, less angled on the side or even close up or whatever. But I guess, I mean, that's all they could do back then. I can't, it's not like they had some cell phone, So I'll forgive them. But yeah, I spent like an hour or at least an hour trying to figure out what was the deal with these pictures. And I figured out it was this home. I put it up for sale. It took a while. I think I originally had it up at $90, then it was $80, then it went on sale at 20% off for $64, and someone finally bought it. Now this was a free item that my dad had bought a bunch of these photos, but he didn't really do anything with them, and so they were just kind of sitting in storage, and he gave them to me, and so I started selling them. And I believe one of these said like 1907. So yeah, these are coming up on like 100. They're like 115 years old almost. And so someone bought them, and I was really excited. And I think he's like a CEO of a company, and also I think like a historian on the side. And I was really glad someone that could appreciate them, bought these. But they got lost in the mail. And now I'm not sure if they're lost in the mail, but they just never got there. And unfortunately, the man that bought them, and I'm not like gonna, speak badly about my customers or anything, but he was just being kind of impatient about the whereabouts of them. Like within 2 days of them not being delivered, he was like, "Hey, can you help me out?" Like, kind of a desperate sounding message, like, "Hey, can you check on where these photos are at?" And I mean, the tracking stopped in Colombia. So at that point, he should have went to his post office and, seen if maybe what happened to them, or if they had them sitting around, maybe looked for them on that end. But he was he kept messaging me like pretty much every other day, like, "Hey, where are these? I'm afraid they've been lost in the mail." And I'm like, just wait on them. Like, and I wasn't rude about it. Every time he messaged me, I would message him almost immediately back and say, "Look, they're in your town, and my post office said that they shouldn't be lost. They're just taking a little while to get there." But the guy was just not having it, and I had to refund them. So not only did these pictures possibly lost and I understand him wanting to get a refund. I totally get that. I'm not saying like he should have lost his money. But it just sucks that I lost my pictures and the money for them because they just haven't been delivered. And that's never happened to me before. I'm usually a big, I love the USPS, and I always will. But it's like I cannot figure out how these photos got lost. They were not in a tiny package or anything. My mistake was, and what I would do in the future is I would put these photos in I would send them off priority and not first class. That's what I should have done, because now I have no insurance on these. And if I would have sent them priority, I think I would have been able to get $50 back. So it's not the buyer's fault. I really blame myself for not doing that. I just had I did not know that, like, yeah, there's no telling that this would happen. But and if this was a commodity item, like just some random thing that could be bought at the store, I would not have been nearly as upset. I just would have been like, stuff happens. But these are like photos that I put a lot of time and effort into finding out what it was. And, I should have put priority on them. Anyway, moving on. So, God knows where these are in Columbia, Tennessee, probably still somewhere, just hanging out. Next is this Flutter Fantasy Belle doll. I had this for a really long time. The box had so much damage on it, so I did put the box as a lot of shelfware. And I just messed myself up. Okay. And I couldn't test the batteries inside without opening the box. So I couldn't even be sure if this worked. It said that it uh, lit up and chimed, and so did the ring that comes with it, but there's no way I could test that. And so I sold it. I tried to get like $30 at first, and I kept having to drop the price. And the other one that I found of her, of Belle, sold like months ago to someone in Canada. So I was glad when this finally sold, because these things kind of take up room. But the reason I bought the two Belle dolls was because Beauty and the Beast was popular last year because of the new movie. And I was like, surely this is gonna fly off the shelf by Christmas time. And it just didn't. I'm not sure why. Maybe they weren't vintage enough. Maybe they weren't cool enough. I thought this one in particularly was pretty cool. But just because I think it's cool doesn't mean somebody else does. Anyway, $14 plus they paid the shipping. I had to send it in a box because unless they ask, you generally want to put Barbies in a box so they don't get too much more damage. This was a super cool purchase because I went through the costumes at a Goodwill, and I did pay up for these. I paid $6, and at the time I was like, ugh, I hope I get, more than $10 on these. And to me, they just looked cool. I didn't really see many comps when I looked them up, or I don't even know if I looked it up. I was just like, oh, these are Adidas, and they're like pop art. These are not something you see every day. So I just got them off the shelf, and I did some research finally, and looked them up on Poshmark, and looked them up on eBay, and I was like, oh, I think these are pretty rare, actually. And it's from a girl named Rita Ora, who I think is more popular in the UK. They were a smaller size, so I didn't know how quickly they would sell, but I put them up for $70. I just made up a price, and I put that with best offer. And within 2 weeks, someone in Asia, I'm not sure, it looked like an Asian name, bought them through a company in Seattle. And how that happens is the product goes to Seattle, and then it gets sent out from there. I forget what it's called. But generally, when you have those happen, you don't have to worry about the item being sent back, because all you have to worry about is the item getting sent there. And if the item isn't checked and it's not refunded from that place, from the packaging place, then, like, refunding for them is basically void. So, yeah, sold for $70 plus the shipping. It was awesome. And this is just a Harley Davidson Hawaiian shirt. I had this for a long time in my death pile because I hate putting up clothes. I like buying them, but I hate actually listing them. It was 2XL, so great size. Put it up for $25, and pretty quickly, within a few weeks, it sold. And that was plus the shipping. This was an awesome sale. I had been sitting on it quite a while, since Mardi Gras of 2017, and this parade runs like a few streets over from where I live, and someone had caught it for me. I didn't actually catch it. Someone caught it off the float for me and gave it to me, and I was like, once you get it home, there's nothing really that you can decorate with them, I guess. But yeah, I was like, I don't really need this. So I went ahead and put it online, and I think I had it up for like $20 for a while, and I kept dropping the price, and finally this year, not even at Mardi Gras time, it randomly sold last month for $12 plus the shipping. So I just got this for free from a parade. It was amazing. Oh, Harley shirt, by the way, I got for $2 on a half off day at Goodwill. I consistently find good shirts at Goodwill. I mean, I know people complain so much about Goodwill's prices, but it's like, I don't know. I consistently do really well there. This is another Goodwill find for 99 cents. This is something that people tend to just overlook. It was just a scrapbooking item, some rubber stamps. A Peter Rabbit movie did come out earlier this year. I have a feeling that's why it sold so quickly. It sold for $29.99 plus the shipping, and I mean within a week, I believe, a week and a half maybe. And it was just very, very cute and little small stamps. And they were from 1990. So that's all the sales I have. I think I would have had more sales last month if there was a like in the middle of the month I had like a minor emergency happen, and so I basically had to stop listing for a week or two, or like 2 weeks, I believe. And there was nothing I could do about it, it just happened. So I probably could have made a few more sales if I had been able to list, but things happen. So, and I was really, really happy I got 12 things sold. It really made me happy. uh, well, that's it. And yeah, other than the photos, I had no customer issues. I did send something to Chile in August, and it took forever to get there. The guy messaged me, actually the day before the guy with the photos messaged me. And so, like, one weekend, I was just like, oh my god, all these customer issues. And he was wondering where his package was, and I was like, okay, you live in Chile, I sent it from Louisiana. It's gonna take a while to get there. I'm never rude to people or anything, but I was just telling him, like, just be patient, wait a couple more weeks because, I am quite far from you. So, a couple weeks ago, I got a feedback that said it was, he really liked his purchase and everything. So, I'm really glad that handled itself. Anyway, that's it, and I hope you had good sales for September. I hope you are also having good sales for October. I've been doing all right. I've been trying to, list as much as possible. And I'm working days, though, right now, like I was saying at the beginning of the video. So it's not as easy for me as when I'm working nights. So I don't know. It is what it is. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and bye.